listening to 89.5 FM KOPN Columbia. We are Mid-Missouri's source for in-depth news, diverse talk, and music of the world. It's more than radio, it is community radio serving the communities of Glasgow, Guthrie,
Welcome, friends, people for peace, pods of consciousness, planetary citizens, wherever you are today, listening to local news in social artistry, where we get to talk to folks that are building a more humane world from the inside out. And today we're taking that local, fairly globally, although it's a local fellow that we get to talk to. At least he's local now. My guest today is Edmund Ike. He was a student of mine at Lincoln back in 2000 something, you said?
2008.
2008. Good morning, Edmund.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Dalton.
Yeah, you're going to, yes, that's good.
It's nice to be here, and thank you very much for extending the invitation for me to have this conversation with you this morning. And thank you once again for this opportunity. I'm happy to be here.
You've grown a very handsome beard since I had you in class.
Yeah.
And you've gone off to medical school, and things are working well, I understand.
Yeah, things are working well. I went to medical school. After I graduated, I took your class in 2008 as a sophomore in college. In 2011, I graduated from Lincoln University of Missouri. I worked for a little bit, just to get the real world experience. For about 3 years, I worked as assistant scientist for a laboratory here in Columbia. ABC, it used to be called ABC Laboratory. I think they sold it. I don't know what it's called right now. It was sold out. So yeah, I worked there for about 3 years before I decided, okay, I've always wanted to be a medical doctor. It's time to pursue that dream. And I went to medical school, and I just completed my program last month. No, July 2019, I completed my program. I'm currently in the application cycle of applying for my medical residency.
In family medicine?
In family medicine, yes,
right.
That's right.
Which is that as common these days? There was a period of time where specialty seemed to be the place to go, but family medicine is coming back, or is
it's family medicine. Family medicine have never really gone out of style. We need family medicine. We need primary, just primary care practitioners in general. There's family medicine, pediatrics, OBGYN, general surgery, and psychiatry. These are the main primary care specialties in medicine. So they have never really gone out of style, and actually they are like shortage in this primary care for the last few decades. For the last maybe 2 decades or so, and we've been pushing to fill these shortages. And new medical schools were created. There are good new medical schools here in the United States and abroad, like in the Caribbean schools, which is one I went to. They are built by American companies just to train American doctors to come back in America and practice. So it's been an ongoing effort to bridge a gap in this shortage of primary care physicians. But unfortunately, now we've trained so many doctors, but we've graduated so many doctors to fill these spots, but there is not enough space to train these graduates. So yeah, that's another struggle that we need to try to find a solution to, which solution to that is to increase funding and create more residency programs.
I see. So a residency program would be a local hospital that would pay for you to be there. Is that the way you're applying to local hospitals around the country?
It's not necessarily local hospital. They are programs. They incorporate also local hospitals, teaching hospitals, and clinics in the program. So it has to be a designated program, not just any hospital. Like we have St. Mary's Hospital in Jefferson City right now is not part of any residency program. So it is a big hospital in Jefferson City.
No
right?
residency.
Yeah, but there's no residency. But the good news is that there's a talk in process right now between the university teaching hospital here in Missouri, trying to have a contract or buy it off or something, and to extend their residency program into that so that residents can go train at St. Mary's Hospital. It's been, I don't think it's finalized yet, but I'm sure it's going to be finalized soon. So then it could be part of a residency program under the University of Missouri, Columbia.
And Capital Region in Jefferson City does have a residency program. Is that correct?
I don't think so. Well, maybe residents are trained there based on some
Well, I know
affiliation.
there are DO resident.
DO resident, not MD. You see, that's one difference. There's difference between DOs and MDs. The DOs are the osteopathic medicine, while the MDs are the allopathic medicines, which I am an MD.
Although you end up with the very same tests and license and specialties and stuff.
Similar. You end up similar, but now they're trying to combine both products. Actually, starting from this residency application, we're going through the same system.
Yeah.
In the past, it used to be different system. DOs have different application, they have different exams. They still have different exams they take for their licensure. We take USMLE for the United States Medical Licensure Examination, have step 1, step 2, step 3 for medical school licensure. They have something similar, I think COMREX or something they take for their licensure. And they have their residency program separate from allopathic MD's residency program. But as of recent, I think since 2019, March year, this year, it's the combined program. So the DOs don't have to go through a different match system, and the MDs don't have to go through. Now they can go through the same match system to apply through ERAS, that's electronic residency applications services. Yeah.
All digitized.
Yes, we are living in a digitized world.
Yes, you probably have your smart girl. So, how are you here? Didn't you contact me about maybe being on this show because of something to do with your home country?
Yes, I mean, how it came about, like, I convened a protest on August 10th, 2019, that's early last month, and during the planning of the protest, it's a solidarity protest to show solidarity with brothers and sisters in Nigeria who are protesting and being suppressed for freedom of speech, which is their constitutional right to express themselves freely and express their grievances with the government and the failure of the government in providing the basic resources, amenities, and education that they need to thrive as a people, or a very conducive environment to do business or things like that. So they are free to express themselves, but the government is clamping down on them, arresting people for just gathering to express themselves. So that was what propelled me to convene the protest, the solidarity process here in Columbia, and that was when I contacted you during this. Dr. Dalton, do you remember me? I was one of your students. I see you host a show with KOPN Columbia. Do you mind coming cover our protest, or send someone from the radio station to cover our protest? And unfortunately, you weren't able to do so, but you said, okay, I'm going to invite you to my show after the protest, and just pick a day, and we'll make it happen. And here we are.
Yeah, here we are. Well, good. I'm so glad you did that, because now I've been refreshing my memory of Nigeria, which I've had over the years. A little homework I was doing relative to your coming here. I bet I left that in the car. I had 1990, I was asked to head a task force at Lincoln University on international student involvement in the campus and how we could improve the international student program. you were actually part of that when you came through. Maribeza, I think, was
Yes.
headed that
I did a presentation in your class about Nigeria
there you
back in
go.
2008.
Yes, all right. So back in 1990, we did some research we looked at the stats over a 10-year period about international student presence on Lincoln University campus. How many students were from Australia and all, we had all the countries listed. They had at least one, and Nigeria by far had the most students total in a 10-year period from like 1978 to 1988, I think we had the data for. And I mean, we had at one time 180 Nigerian students on campus in the same year.
Okay.
So Nigeria has been very prominent in our student body at Lincoln. So when you came along, I had already had some familiarity with students and some of the history and things that were going on. But last night I went to YouTube and found another take on the history of Nigeria. And it's been a rocky road since what you said, 1914.
1914 it was created. Nigeria was created as a country by the British.
Because the colonialism
in
that had gone
1914.
on.
That's called the amalgamation of Nigeria.
All right.
1914, yeah.
And
And it gained its independence in 1960.
it took, as other countries in the continent
Yes.
were fighting for their decolonization, they wanted independence.
That's true. That's true.
So-
By population, it is the
Population.
largest, most populated country in the whole of Africa. Yeah.
And you're right there on the west coast where the Niger, I call it Niger, is that what you call it? The Niger River?
Yeah, we have Niger River, River Niger, and River Benue. If you look at the coat of arms, you're going to see it shaped like a Y because it's divided
Oh.
by River Niger and River Benue. That's the significance of that Y in
I
our
didn't
coat
know
of
that,
arms.
because
Yeah.
I see,
Yeah,
when I
and
looked at
you can see
Nigeria-
that too in the map. Whenever you see the map of Nigeria, you see that Y shape.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the River Niger and River Benue, and you have the confluence points at the delta. Yeah.
And actually at the delta, close to the delta, is where the capital was relocated. Is that true? It used to be Lagos.
Yeah, it used to be Lagos.
And
It's
now
very
it's
like to
Abuja
Abuja, yeah.
that's a
Because it's
little
more
north of-
central, yeah, and it's more central. When you look at the picture of Nigeria,
Mhm.
it's Abuja is almost at the central point
Mhm.
of the country Nigeria.
Mhm.
So I guess that was one of the thinking of why they moved it there, because it's more central, so that it can be closer to every regions, wherever you are, whether you're from the southwest, southeast, south, northeast, northwest, north central, you can be able to reach the center of the country, the capital of the country. That was the idea, and also to the Clutter Lagos, because Lagos was overpopulated back then.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's still overpopulated.
Yeah.
That did not help. Moving Abuja, the capital to Abuja did not really help decongest Lagos. Lagos is still the most populated state in the whole of Nigeria.
Okay. And you are from the southeast
Yes, I am
neighborhood or region.
Yeah, from the southeast region of Nigeria, which has about 5 states. There's Anambra, Imo, Enugu, Ebonyi, and Abia. And I'm from Anambra State originally.
And can you point to that just for me?
All right.
We're looking on Google Maps.
So you see here,
So
see this Onitsha?
they can't see it, but I can see
Yeah,
it.
Onitsha right here.
Oh, yeah.
That is,
Okay.
Onitsha is a city in Anambra State.
All right. So
That's
you're
my state
in
is-
the south central part
Of
of
Southeast.
the eastern region of
Of
Nigeria,
Nigeria.
southeastern region of
Yeah,
Nigeria. And,
that's correct.
and that's important because that was the location of the family or tribe that is called
Igbo.
Igbo, I-B-O, correct?
IGBO, so it's
Oh.
Igbo.
Oh, really?
So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, the English kind of bastardized is taking out the G, but there is a G there, and the G actually is not a silent G, it's Igbo.
Okay.
Yeah.
Equal.
Yes,
Right.
that's it.
Very
It's kind of- it's there, and it's also in the intonation. For,
Okay.
yeah.
Historically, what kind of history do you know about that particular tribe or group of people? It was a family. We call it the Igbo family,
The
right?
Igbo family, or the Igbo group of people.
Mm-hmm.
Historically, they've been in Nigeria for a long time. They've been in the Igbo tribe or the Igbo group of people or family have been in Nigeria since about the 9th century. So like,
Okay.
and they have lived in peace and harmony. They are more of spiritual people, and even in the way the leadership is structured is in a spiritual way. You have the Igwe people. Igwe people say it's king, but Igwe literally translates to the heavenly one, the heavenly one.
Heavenly one. Oh.
Yeah, so because you're chosen, it's not just or just like, oh, these are the royal family, remain royal family. If a king dies, another king may emerge, not necessarily from that same family. So that's how it was been historically during our ancestral time. But it changed during the European occupation of Nigeria. Now they have the royal family that remains in one family, like the English style, I guess. And this royal family, the current royal family, all of them were not royal from beginning, but they were just like tax masters who was enforced on us because those are the people that can do the English biddings.
Yeah.
And so they made them the kings, the chiefs of that region, and now they become a royal family now, and which was not what it was before the arrival of the European.
I'm curious. Secretly,
Yeah.
is the royal line still honored?
Yeah, the royal line is still honored. Yeah,
Okay.
they're still honored. So we'll still have Igwes, we'll still have chiefs in different regions. So there's multiple Igwes in the whole of Igbo land. Also in the Yoruba land or the southwestern, there's multiple Obas, Onis, and all that in the whole of Yoruba land.
So it's like there's two different governments.
Yeah, there's two different governments. There is the traditional government and then the political government.
Oh, wow.
The traditional government historically used to be powerful, which used to be the main government, the traditional government. But after the arrival of the European, now it's the political government that is powerful. The traditional government is mostly stripped of all its powers. They are just relegated to local government. And local government is the lowest tier of government. You know, the local government, the state government, then the federal government. And so mostly the traditional rulers are relegated to like a local government.
Interesting. So, what was your family's trade or interest in? How did your family back in Nigeria, as you grew up, what did they do?
Oh, like growing up, my family into business, any kind of business, legal business, good,
creative
businesses that can make money as long as we're, just for survival and make sure you have food on the table for the kids and be able to send your kids to school. So yeah, we were all business folks in my
So
family.
you were not close enough to the coast to be fishermen?
No, we have River Niger. We are close to the River Niger.
Oh, you are close enough.
Yeah,
Okay.
we live across the Niger.
Okay.
The Igbo people. So when you cross the Niger, they have the Igbo community. So we have some rivers. We have, but yeah, we're not really from the riverine area. So no, we're not big in fishing.
So
That's the south or southwest, big in fishing.
So as you move north from the coast, you go into kind of a bush, would you call it a bush type countryside? And is there desert? I'm trying to get the lay of the land. What is the land? If you look at Missouri, you sort of see rolling hills and farms and things. What was it like back home?
I mean, it changes. Like the Lagos is more like a rainforest, I would say. Then the northern Nigeria, it's, let's say, I don't know quite the right term now, but probably the savannah. Savannah. Some part of it. Then some part of the northern Nigeria is like the arid region. That's more of the desert and desert area, and desertification has been encroaching for the past few decades, and a few things have been done to halt the desertification, but not much has been done. So, which is most part of like the Sokoto area, Sokoto area, and some part of the Katsina State. Actually, I was born in Katsina State, so most part, even though I'm from the southeast, I was born in the north. So most part of some part of the Katsina State, there are borders between create a border between Nigeria and the Niger Republic.
Yes.
There's another called Niger. It's spelled like Niger, some people say it's Niger, but it's not. It was called Niger. Niger Republic is share a border with Nigeria, the northern part of Nigeria. So that part of the border between Nigeria and Niger is more of a desert area. So there's a more arid.
And then there's Mali just to the north and west.
Yes, Mali, also some desert area around Mali area, and Chad. So Chad, Niger, and Mali, have a little desert region, and also the border area between them and the northern Nigeria.
And you talked, as we were driving up together, about a Muslim tribal group from the north, the Faluji?
Fulani.
Fulani,
yeah.
I got my Star Trek words confused there. Yeah, okay. And they're moving south. Is that what you understand?
They are nomads, so they move all over Nigeria. They move all over. They move from around the north. They move from north to south. They are all over Nigeria. The point I was making to you earlier is that some people think the north is, when you talk about the northern Nigeria, so they say, oh, the Hausa. Well, the northern Nigeria is not just the houses, it's the Hausa and the Fulani. So you can just say the Hausa Fulani. Because they're together, they intermarry and all that. So it's the Hausa Fulanis, and the Fulanis are pretty much the rulers of the north, and the rulers of Nigeria as a whole are the Fulanis, not the Hausas. Even though the Hausas are the majority inhabitants of the north, they are the original inhabitants of the north. They formed the 7 original northern states, the Hausas, until the invasion of the north by the Fulanis. So, and that is in the 1800s, and I think they probably conquered the Hausa people in the late 1880s. That's when they finally conquered the Hausa people and became their rulers up to today.
Up to today?
Yeah.
And
so when the British turned over the government of Nigeria to the north, they didn't give it to the Hausa, they gave it to the Fulanis.
Right. And they still maintain a relationship, it seems. There's still some money somewhere, some political connections with the Fulani of the north and their old colonizers, is that?
Yes, there is. Yeah, there is still a relationship between the House of Fulanis and the British. Yeah, the British are probably the most vested country, the most vested nation that's most vested in Nigeria.
And does Nigeria have, what kind of wealth do you have? I know you have oil on the coast. Yeah. What other things would the British be interested in? Is there other resources that...
There's gold, there's iron, there's oil, there's minerals that's used in the technologies of this day, cell phones and all that. And we have abundance in that. Not as abundant as you can find them in Congo. That is where it's more richer than in Congo. But we are more richer in oil. Yeah, so they are interested in oil and all that, other minerals as well.
Is your family doing okay now? Are they back in Nigeria?
Yes, my family are back in Nigeria, and they are doing fine. We've always been a middle class family.
So the political this show I saw, it talked about how, well, there was an elected, and then there was the coup by the military, and then there was a coup of the coup, and then there was
The coups and the counter coups of Nigeria.
I mean, it's been there was never a great stability, although there was a lot of hope in one of the presidents, and he was killed by some young general that wanted to try to take his place. But I think he's still honored as somebody that could have done wonderful for Nigeria.
So many people that would have done wonderful for Nigeria, but they never did. So yeah, Nigeria have a dark history of coups and counter coups, who started back in 1966.
Mm-hmm.
Such a young nation, a promising nation, that has the potential to do great good for the entire continent of Africa, but it was just short-lived. Like you were mentioning, how they have a large population of international students at Lincoln University. Because then we're still, that was before the decline, or the great decline. I mean, it was already declining by that time when the survey was done that you mentioned about. But after that, after the 80s, the 90s was worse. So at that time, 70s and early 80s, the government sent people abroad and pay for their tuition, have scholarship to go study abroad. So most of the people you met, you talked about during the 70s and 80s, are people that were sent by the government on scholarship to go to school. So that was sadly the end of the good old days. That marked the end of the end of the good old days. So yeah, the country got it independent in 1960 and had the first premier, Abubakar Tafawa Balewa. And the president was Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. So that's a ceremonial position. The main powerful man was the prime minister at that time. So, at that time, our with the way our government was structured was more of English, like the British system. Now I think we more mirror the current political structure of Nigeria. Kind of mirrored the American system, having the president, the vice president, and the Senate and the House of Representatives, which the Senate is like the senators in America, and the House of Representatives is like the Congress in America. Okay. So we'll have the bicameral system of government right now, but that wasn't what we'll have when we got our independence. So then we'll have a premier, and we'll have the president, which we're doing some good, and we're respected around the world, and we champion great causes and liberating of other African nations and fighting for the end of apartheid in that time, because that was when apartheid was severe, and that was during when Nelson Mandela in South Africa. That was when Nelson Mandela was thrown into prison in 1963. So it was during around when our early days of independence. We've only been independent for like 3 years when South Africa was. But even though as a young nation, Nigeria championed the liberation of the black folks in South Africa by lobbying greatly, fiercely, for the creation of a special UN committee to end apartheid. So Nigeria lobbied for that and created that in the UN and championed the cause of the end of apartheid for 30 whole years. It was a 30-year struggle till the end of apartheid in 1993, and maybe we say 1994, because that was when Nelson Mandela became president of South Africa. So yeah, so that's over 31 years.
Yeah, a long
struggle.
Well, we're going to take a station break, and it's amazing how fast this goes. So we'll be back in just a moment with more fascinating stories of Nigeria and your life here in the States with Edmund E.K. on local news and social artistry. Talk to you soon. We're here from all over. You reminded me of something on our way up that you remembered from my class. Would you mind try to recapture what you said that you remembered?
Oh yeah, I said when I was in Dr. Dalton's class, that was back in 2008. He had this one time in the class. He brought this idea. He was talking about a paradigm shift, and he was explaining to the class at that time that the way we see the world depends on what paradigm glass we're wearing. So he went on and explained that, and I was fascinated. And I said, okay, I think I'm going to pick up a paradigm glass, some pair of paradigm glasses, and I picked up my glass, and I've been wearing it since ever since then. And that is a paradigm glass of seeing a better world, building a world that is fair and full of equity. I mean, they say the world is not fair, but we can try to make it a little bit fairer. So now that is my paradigm glass.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And I got it from your class.
One
thing I get to learn that the book you wrote actually have a chapter about that. So I'm gonna definitely read the book. I got my copy today, so I'll be looking into that.
Yeah, chapter 1 I titled "We See the World Through Our Beliefs," and that's just another way of saying our paradigms.
Yeah.
And that I had gotten those ideas from another book that I had been introduced to at a national wellness conference up in Stevens Point, Wisconsin. And it was called The Spirit and Science of Holistic Health. And they talked about how we look through different paradigms. And so I look at the world through a Western paradigm. Would you say you looked at the world through a Western paradigm, or
No, sir.
you would say
I look at the world through an African paradigm.
an African paradigm?
So, because my sensibility is African. I
Yes.
was born and raised in Africa, in Nigeria to be specific. So I think I like it Nigerian. I act like a Nigerian. And but now, as a Nigerian who wants to build a better Nigerian and a better Africa.
Which is really why you're here. A daunting task to build a better Nigeria, because many people have wanted to build a better Nigeria. You say that there are Nigerians all over the U.S. that have come for school or various reasons and have stayed, and yet Nigeria continues to be a highly populated country with a lot of turmoil. How do you see paradigm shift taking place in more people in Nigeria? How do people come to see the world more like you do?
It comes with information.
Okay.
Information is key. Just like as I get the information from your class, like I had that discussion about paradigm shift, and that clicked. Even though I may not have remembered a lot of things from your class, but I still remember that. Well, I told you I remember this from your class. So because I received that information. So a lot of more people need to receive information about paradigm shift, about the change in the mind, and how we view life, and how we view things, the processes in life, and how to view our fellow man and fellow human beings. So that comes by information, passing out the information, talking. So people are not going to know if they never heard.
Right, right. So it's important to share information.
Yes, sir.
I think you have a Christian paradigm that you also look through, is that correct?
Yes, because I was born a Christian.
Okay. And so I think it says somewhere there that those that have ears to hear, let them hear.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mysterious statement because it looks like everybody has ears.
Yes.
But that day in class, you had the ears that it took to hear that statement about paradigm shift. Maybe the other 100 people in the class didn't have those ears on that day. So that's, I think, is one of the difficulties that we encounter, is that it's hard to know who hears and how do you tailor the information to help the most people hear your message. Now, you've got musicians in Nigeria, right?
A lot of musicians in Nigeria.
Is Fela still around, or how do you say his name?
Fela.
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 Oh, he's dead and gone.
Dead and gone.
Oh, he's alive.
Yes, because his music.
His music lived on.
Right.
His music have inspired many musicians and actually inspired the current movement of Afrobeats all over the world.
Which his music was not what the government wanted to hear.
No.
So
they shut him down.
His information really got into people's minds.
Yes.
So music is one of those tools to help people hear the message. And do you have some recommendations on certain musicians, either dead or alive, that would be telling the message that you think needs to be presented?
Unfortunately, the days of Fela is like long gone, and the message passed through music. Most Nigerian musicians don't pass meaningful messages through their music. Their music right now is about being happy, and because there's so much pain and suffering, so people don't want to hear this music telling them about the pain and suffering. They already know the pain and suffering. They are living it.
Okay.
So they just want to hear the music that make them happy and dance and shake their body, and that's the kind of music that the current position gives them. So, but thankfully this year is actually a little different year. There's been quite new albums that are out.
Oh.
That have messages.
Mm-hmm.
Like the current album by Burna Boy, African Giant, that's the title of the album.
Okay.
It's chock full with information, like at least up to 5 records in that album have messages, like spiritual. See, that's my favorite track in that album, reminding us that we are Africans and that we are spiritual people, and that we should look for a better way to make a better world. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So that, and you also have I forgot. That was my favorite track, but I have like 2 or 3 more tracks from the album that have messages that I like, that I think people should key into. And another album that I think would be good, it's not out yet, but I think it's coming out soon. But one track from that album, Better Hope for Africa.
Okay.
It's from I think Techno. So that track, Better, reminding people that we could have a better Nigeria, we could have a better life, and reminding people that our government don't really care about us right now, so, and they could do better. So that was the name. So those 2 tracks this year, at least, I can speak positively about those 2 tracks.
Wonderful. Could you repeat the names of those just for our listeners to maybe they could look that up?
Yes, listen to Burna Boy's song Spiritual, good message, and listen to Techno's record, a new single, Better, B-E-T-T-E-R, Better Hope for Africa. And the whole album from Burna Boy is called African Giant.
African Giant.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the name of the album.
And it's Burna Boy.
Yeah, Burna Boy. Burnaboi, like a boy.
What does Berna mean? Is it just a name or
It's probably a nickname.
okay. Oh, okay. Well, I think don't we have a music show on KOPN of African music? I'm looking for it here on the,
There used to be a music show, yeah.
Motherland Jam on Saturday afternoon, Saturday between noon and 2.
what's the name of it?
Motherland Jam.
Motherland.
Motherland Jam, yeah.
We need to get that on our, oh, there it is, Motherland Jam, I see it.
Morgan is one of the hosts for that particular program. We also feature the reggae sounds on Saturday evening between 6 and 8 on Saturday evening.
So Motherland Jam is a mix of both contemporary and classical African music from across the continent. We have it here Saturdays noon to 2.
Yeah, I listened to that before because one of my friends used to volunteer here as a host back in 2012, 2013.
Oh, good.
No,
Morgan?
no, her name Patricia Mabenga. Were you here 2013?
No.
Yeah, she was a host for like 2013. Yeah, I remember she used to tell me, "Hey man, tune into KOPN and listen to you," because she was the host at that time.
Yeah, we've had a couple of different, and then we also have the reggae sounds, which is Saturday evening 6 to 8, and that's much the same type of reggae. It's quite a bit the same time.
Yeah.
So would you, Edmund, ever consider taking your medical expertise back to Nigeria?
There's no way I'm going to be a Nigerian and not offer my medical expertise to my people.
Okay, so that is part of the dream.
That's part of the dream. But of course, I'm going to practice here as well. So practice in both continents. It's not something that's not doable. It's doable.
What is, as you understand it, the present availability of medical treatments? How is medicine handled in Nigeria? In southeastern Nigeria?
I can speak for the whole of Nigeria in general. Thinking about the medical situation is nothing to write home about. Public hospital is zero. Zero. Like, there is no syringes to give injection. There's no medication for patients in the hospital, and this is how sad it is that the leaders, those in power, cannot receive treatment in the country. That is how bad they know how bad it is. They had to fly out of the country to either India, Dubai, South Africa, United States, UK, and all other European countries to receive treatment.
So the wealth gap is huge.
It's huge. Nigeria is currently the poverty capital of the world. Over 90 million Nigerians are in extreme poverty.
Yeah.
For such a country with an enormous amount of wealth and resources, isn't that heartbreaking?
And the pollution from the oil, etc., in the Lagos area, which is the most densely populated, is contributing to more and more disease and cancers and whatnot. Climate change is changing the temperature of the waters off of the coast so that you have different fish or less fish that are available for the fishermen. Lots of changes.
Yes, a lot of changes, and most of the changes not just about the global warming. I mean, the most eminent threat, the pollution that was brought by the oil industry or the miners who have polluted most of the waters in the Niger Delta area, so, which are the riverine area, which are people who depend on fishery, form of agriculture, for their livelihood, and now their waters are polluted.
And so the fish, they still maybe get some fish, but then the
Poison
fish
fish.
are poisoned. And
Poison fish.
Yeah.
It's not good for anyone.
So you have a big job ahead of
We, not just me. Nigerians have a big job ahead of them. So it's our duty and our responsibility to call upon every Nigerian to wake up, to stay awake, and get the necessary information you need to hold our leaders accountable, to hold our, to make sure the leaders well. If they can't read leaders well, then they should step away from leadership and let people who have the know-how, who have the desire and the willpower to lead the country. So,
I have something for you to read. It's this middle card.
all right. Strategies for intentional living, right?
Mm-hmm.
1. Determine from your yearning a goal or a project. 2. Discern your allies and your obstacles along the way. 3. Decide that you are the one that can and will do this. 4. Dig for more understanding by asking questions. 5. Don't give up on the possibility of a better world. Did you search into my mind when you were writing this, sir?
One more line.
Yeah. If it is to be, it is up to us. I have seen this line. You've used this line in some of your slides in class. If it is to be, it is up to us. If it is to be, it is up to us. We've used it in class before.
That's a Nigerian motto
Yes.
now.
It's
If
a
it
good
is to
motto.
be,
It's a motto that's guiding me. I believe in the possibility of a better world. It can be, and we can do it. You just have to raise the people who are willing to do it and join in doing it. You don't just raise the people, you have to be part of the struggle, part of the movement and the realization of this goal. It's good.
Thank you.
I'm definitely going to read this book. I have a copy. Yes, for anyone that want to read it from my audience, read this book. Get this book from Dr. Dick Dalton. It says, "I am not my thoughts." But this is a great book. So get a copy.
Bless your heart.
Thank you.
Well, this is a great reunion. You know, we haven't seen each other for less than 11 years.
Less than 11 years. We're going to keep pushing and keep fighting and keep doing our best to build a better Nigeria. And as I said, the people in the diaspora, they are waking up to join the struggle. Before, they just sat back and let the people back home suffer and do their thing. But now, a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora are beginning to understand that the diasporans need to rise and join the struggle to be able to create a better Nigeria. Because if the diaspora remains silent, it's going to continue that way. And because the people in Nigeria, living in Nigeria, are already more like suppressed.
Yeah.
They can't do much anymore. So it's we that are not there that can come from within and come back to our homeland and make the necessary changes in our homeland.
Edmund Ike, bless your heart. Thank you so much for being here. And folks, remember, wherever you are, that is your world. Please leave your world cleaner, more peaceful, and more loving than you found it, because if it is to be, it is up to us.
Absolutely.
Talk to you next week.
Thank
Thanks.
you.